Hi. Thank you. Urban. Okay. Thank you very much. My name's Bruce. This is my channel. If you're a subscriber, thank you for subscribing. And if you're not subscribed, if you could just take a second and subscribe now or later, that'd be great. It costs nothing, and I like it. This is me. Yeah. Okay. So if you've been following along, you know I like to talk about stuff. I like to talk about things that are important to me, and really they're important to the world. Okay, so first off, I'm going to talk about this place I was yesterday. I went to a party. I went to the opening of a new location, or the new location of a camera store, or kind of a camera store. It's a photo supply place, and I've been going there for, I'm going to say, 20 years, and it's B3K Digital. By the way, this is not a sponsored video. It's none of that. I mean, who? Someone would be crazy to sponsor these videos, but I want to just mention that. I've been going to this camera store for more than 20 years, and the owner of the camera store has actually even come to my house and delivered to me a camera so that I could use it. Thank you very much. And in the 20 years that I've been attending the camera store, and it's beautiful, really. It's a gorgeous store. If you're looking for the very best of photographic equipment, or if you're going to rent the very best of photographic equipment, or if you are a commercial photographer or an editorial photographer, and you want to have the very best, and you want to have, and it's not the equipment. See, what I want to talk about, it's the support that they offer. I'm a believer in patronage. I'm a believer in loyalty, and these guys are amazing. So if you have a problem, if you have some trouble, they will help. And I jokingly, and I think it's true, I say I'm their very worst customer. And the reason why is because I've been going there for, like I said, 20 years, and the owner guy, Walter, great guy, and I get treated like royalty, like gold. And I have never spent a nickel at that store. I have never bought anything there. I can't believe it. I do not deserve to be treated nearly as well as I am treated by these people and this establishment. Thank you very much. And I just want to say that. Thank you very much. And if you're not like me, if you're if you're looking for the really the best of equipment, and the best of service, and the best of advice, this is where you want to go. If you happen to own a stadium and you're looking to install photographic lighting for your stadium, or lots of reasons, you can go there. B3K Digital. So that was that. Now, the real reason here, if you've been following along in my recent videos, you know I attended the Canadian International Auto Show. And I left there with a certain measure of impressions. I talked about that in a previous video. I talked about the IV charging network. I talked about how really awesome many of the electric vehicles are, basically all of them. And I talked about how it's nice to see the tide turning, and the shift of really all the manufacturers are touting or showing or bragging about or explaining how great they are in the electric domain. And the electric domain it's really the domain to be in. That. Now, I was left with another impression at the auto show. And I came away because in my area, in this area, the province of Ontario in Canada, now, if you follow my videos, you'll know that in Canada, under the Constitution, healthcare, education, transportation, energy, and mineral resources are the domain of the provinces. And the way Canada's government works is if you happen to be in a province that has a majority government, meaning that a parliamentary majority, that there's no one that has more influence over your life than the premier of the province. This is just it. This is just how it is. Now, I hear the train a-coming. It's rolling around the bend. So you're gonna get a train. You're gonna experience how well this audio affair works. I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad in the last one. I was surprised, but you can see in the background here the train going by. Anyway, yeah, okay. So at the show there was some displays by some of the major charging providers. Flow, I did not get to the Flow display. Ivy had a display. You heard me talk about Ivy. Ivy is the Ontario version of Circuit Electric. And one thing that happened at the show was there was a giant display from a thing called OPG, Ontario Power Generation. Ontario Power Generation. Ontario Power Generation is the entity responsible for generating electricity in the province of Ontario. And if you look at a map of Canada and the way that energy flows, you're going to see very little flow on interprovincial. Across provincial borders, it's not that great. So the electricity that you get in Ontario essentially ostensibly is coming from OPG. And the OPG booth was a commercial. It was a marketing effort to explain to the people that happened to be there that nuclear was awesome. Their nuclear power is awesome, and that they're building nuclear reactors, and they're embarking on that, and that is great. Okay, that's the thesis of their display. And then I spoke with some people that were working there, and they asked me questions about nuclear. They had a little quizzical on their iPad. You could answer some questions and see what your base level of knowledge was on nuclear. And then at every 15 or 20 seconds, the person and other people that I was speaking with said, "Oh, but we're not here to talk politics." Now, in the province of Ontario, and in every province in Canada, I think, I'm not an expert on who's in power, who's not in power. But in the province of Ontario, we have a parliamentary majority government. So the Premier of Ontario has absolute rule over basically anything. Can do more or less whatever they like. And so this decision to embark on a nuclear to add nuclear power generation to the province of Ontario rests with the Premier. Now, Ontario also has a Minister of Energy. We have a Minister of Energy. Now, if you're watching this video, and thank you. Oh, by the way, my name's Bruce. This is my channel. If you're watching the video, thank you very much. If you subscribe to the channel, thank you very much. There you are. Now, Ontario have a Minister of Energy. The Minister of Energy has qualifications, a resume. I believe his previous job was a talk show host. He had been a talk show host for a number of years. There you are. Talk show host. Now, the thing about, and I've talked about this before, but education is important, okay? And the reason that this channel exists, the reason why I'm doing this is a couple of fold. One is because I'm scratching my fingernails in the cave wall. This is me. Gives me an opportunity to share, right? And what am I sharing? And what I'm sharing is, okay, I'm a guy. I went to school, grade school. I finished grade school. I attended university. I did 10 years. I was in university for 10 years, and with varying results. But anyway, doesn't matter. It does matter. And in my university career, I had made a lot of friends who were academics, who were professors, doctorate level people, and very knowledgeable. And then later, I worked in I worked in industry and in consulting, and I worked in industry and non-consulting and directly, and that. And one thing I learned was that one thing I learned is that it's very difficult to know who to listen to. You're going to be inclined to listen to the people that you like. You're going to be inclined to listen to your friends. You're going to be inclined to listen to your family. You're going to be inclined to listen to the people that all people. Now, this just popped in my head, but here's an example. One day I was working for a very large petrochemical company, and I was invited to lunch. I attended lunch, and in my attending of lunch, visiting of lunch, having lunch, I had lunch with this guy, and he worked as a sales representative for a company that sold equipment that was used in the petrochemical industry. And a period of time later, maybe a month, couple of months, whatever, is a project I was working on. It came time to purchase some of the equipment that this gentleman sold, and examined on criteria 4 or 5 competitors, and on technical basis and on cost basis and service basis and all basis, and wound up not buying from this guy. So he calls me up in a rampage. He's furious. He's upset. He says, "But we had lunch. We had lunch. We had lunch, and you didn't buy my millions of dollars worth of things." Yeah. And this guy, in his heart of hearts, in his real thinking, this guy really thought, with total sincerity, he really thought that having taken a lunch, me going to lunch with the guy, that was it, that was the deal. It was signed, sealed, and delivered. And the point I'm making is that knowing who to listen to is very difficult. It's very, very difficult. Point number 1. Point number 2 is if your only tool's a hammer, everything starts to look a whole lot like a nail. That's a saying. But getting back to this other matter, OPG. Now, right now in the province of Ontario, a tremendous portion of the electricity that we use comes from nuclear power. That's a fact. We have a reliable nuclear entity, right? Produces lots and lots of electricity, and in the off-peak demands, nuclear likes to be a steady state situation. It doesn't like to have big fluctuations. You get your plant up and running, and you leave it running for years or decades. That's how it goes. So we have nuclear, and then OPG is basically kind of like a nuclear entity. They're like, okay, we have nuclear. Then it's like, okay, well let's have more. Now the thing about a nuclear plant or a nuclear generation is that it's a massive investment. We're going to get to that. It is a massive investment. And once you have that investment, then you want to maintain it. You want to use it for as long as you possibly can. All this stuff is great. Okay? And the nuclear plants in the province of Ontario are well maintained. They serve everyone very, very well for a very, very long time. Okay. Now, also, so if you have this thing and it has a finite lifespan, so then you want to continue to get electricity from it. So at a certain point, there's going to be let's call it there's different types of maintenance. There's maintenance that you're going to do once a week. There's maintenance you're going to do once a year, every 5 years, every whatever. And then periodically you're going to have to do kind of like let's call it a major refurbishment, because the mechanical components wear out, different things wear out, and you have to replace and upgrade them. So, Ontario, nuclear power. So I'm talking about, for a second here, I thought I was going to get into something a little further down the road, but this is all the lead up here. The lead up is now there's a plan to refurbish, I think it's called the Pickering nuclear facility. And so there's been a budget item issued in the order of this amount of money. A budget item issued in the order of $2 billion. $2 billion. And you think, a naive person thinks, whoa, that's a lot of money for the refurbishment of something that you already have. Holy smoke, that's expensive. Well, it's $2 billion. Okay. Old business guy used to say, it's nothing on a big ship. Good gracious, nothing on a big ship. Yeah. Well, that $2 billion is so that we can commence doing engineering and design work and evaluation work, which is kind of ongoing anyway. There's always engineering going on in a nuclear plant. And to begin to secure the procurement of what's called long lead items. There's certain items that you may have to purchase to refurbish your whatever that's going to take a very, very long time to get. Yeah, a long time. What's a long time? Well, some things might take a year. Some things might take 2, 5, 10 years. Like let's pretend you're going to, I don't know, buy an airplane or something like that. It's going to take a long time to get it. So this $2 billion is that. Now, in the press release, in the discussion with the Minister of Energy and the back and forth, there was no mention of the actual project budget. So the logical question is, well, now I want to just do a little aside here and say that governments don't spend money, okay? And I'm serious. This is real. A government that is in progressive taxation regime, like a state government, a provincial government, a national government, really, they don't spend money like you and I do. The same rules don't apply. I've tried to explain that in the past. So you can go back and listen to that and try to figure that out. But this is true. They don't spend money the same way I have, and so the accountability is different. Okay. But this idea that this $2 billion for the long lead items and the early engineering, they refuse to give an estimate of how long or how much this project will take, or maybe they set a kind of a promise date, but there's no budget. But we can do a comparison with another similar projects that are sort of completed that got into the $15-20 billion range. Okay, so this one, that's a starting point, $20 billion, and it's gonna. It's not like you're gonna wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, we thought it was going to be 20 billion, and it turned out it was only 5 billion." That's pretty good, right? That's in the history of the world. I don't think that ever happened. So we're going to start at 20 billion. It's going to go up from there. I think my earlier quote, and maybe a video I might have mentioned this before, might have been 50 or 60 billion. I think that is a fair estimate. Okay. If you're going to let that ship leave the dock, then somebody secretly, when they're talking to themselves and to their pillow, they should be saying $50 billion before this is all said and done. Now, I'm not objecting to the money. I don't object to this whatsoever at all, right? Full stop. I mean, okay, that's not my objection. My objection is that it has to come with an and, because right now the most cost-effective method of having new electrical generation is not to refurbish your nuclear plant. It's some and stuff. And wind power, solar power, that's the and. So while you're out busy making your existing nuclear plant work, I suggest that we get busy making solar power work. More solar power. There's communities that exist in Canada that are absolutely 100% solar power, and they're doing fine. And these were financed at the community level. Okay. Now, I made a video a while ago, and I was talking about public transportation and tunneling and the cost of excavating, and I offered an alternative. And then my cost quote on terms of for the alternative, what I said was this. I said this. This is what I said. This is what I said. This is when I was talking about the installation of some surface above ground telepheric mass transit systems as compared with a subway system or a surface system, and I said this number, 1%. Okay, so if you're going to build a subway, or here if you happen to be in Toronto and you're building the Eglinton Crosstown. That Eglinton Crosstown, I mean, right now that's been under construction for 16 years, right around 16 years. There is no promise date. There's no date that the builder at this moment has promised to say when that will be finished. And let's talk. And the money thing is right now, I think they've casually sailed through certainly 25 billion, 40. You get numbers like this, okay? So that alternative that I suggested is this. Now, what I'm telling you is that this nuclear refurbishment, it's going to cost 100 times the money of getting the equivalent amount of electrical generation from solar or wind. 100 times as much money, as much resource, and that's it. Okay, and you're like, who the hell's that guy? Why is he saying this, and why does he believe it? I believe it because that's just the way it goes. There's an abundance of data points, and that every data point indicates that this is correct. Anyway, my name's Bruce. This is my channel. Leave me a comment and tell me that I'm whack. Say whatever you like. I appreciate comments. I appreciate I can't believe anyone watches this stuff. I get it. This is not like the greatest channel on by a long shot, but what the heck, it's mine, and I'm trying to convey some ideas and open some conversation that hopefully will be benefit in the broad term. That's it. Okay, thank you very much for watching.